Today we have Tim Goldich with his newest version of Loving Men, Respecting Women,
Yes.
how the future of gender politics, and Tim claims that it is, in some ways, this Loving Men, Respecting Women all balances out. And so Tim, please get into your book and tell us what is the premise of this book? What are you trying to tell us?
The basic premise of the book is those 4 words. It all balances out. So that sounds simple. It's just 4 words. But it's not. It all balances out is tricky. It's a slippery thing. So let me begin to tackle it by prefacing it with 4 key truths, what I will call my 4 core beliefs that support this idea that it all balances out. So the first one is this. I believe that woman is and has always been as powerful as man. That she has always, through her own feminine channels, applied an equal overall force of influence in the world, and is equally responsible for outcomes. I believe that man is and has always been as victimized as woman. That the enormous consequences and vast repercussions suffered by women for being less respected have been matched in full by the enormous consequences and vast repercussions suffered by men for being less loved. 3. I believe that throughout history, the 2 sexes at birth have been assigned a role, a socialization, and a conditioning that brings with it a certain fate. 4th and final, I believe that throughout history, men have been no more empowered to escape the biology, role, socialization, and conditioning that he was assigned at birth than women have. These 4 statements are key because if they are true, if these 4 statements are true, then I believe they lead inexorably to the one key truth: it all balances out. What I mean by that is that in the benefits enjoyed and in the liabilities suffered, and the power and the victim and the freedoms and the constraints and the good and the bad, the joys and sorrows, the pluses and the minuses, it's all been split pretty much 50-50 between men and women.
So, Tim, you've given us the 4 core components of the book, and you set a premise for kind of what you think the book is, or to tell us what it is. Now, what is, you also mentioned before we went on camera, what the book is not, and what this context is not. Explain that.
Okay. One of the basic assumptions that I get all the time when I say that it all balances out is this assumption that, well, okay, so if it all balances out, then I guess we're done here. I guess everything's fine the way it is, and I guess we're going straight into complacency. Well, no, that's not what I mean. As I see it, women have been suffered everything along the respect axis, and men have suffered everything along the love axis. These 2 sufferings may balance out, these 2 injustices may balance out, but that doesn't mean that there are not injustices. It doesn't mean that the system is perfect. There have been many injustices. What I'm saying is that these injustices afflict both sexes alike, and therefore I'm concluding that it all balances out.
Your book is going to cause a big problem if you don't know this, and that what I see is you're looking to dismantle the arguments. Now, are you here to dismantle all the fights? Is that what you're doing?
Oh, I don't think there's any way to dismantle all the fights. I'm not a utopian sort of guy. I don't see that there is a kind of a solution to the human condition. I seek to make things better. I seek to reduce the battle of the sexes, and especially to circumvent what might be or be becoming a war between the sexes. Now, coming to understand in a global sense, if culture-wide, what would happen if we came to the understanding that it all balances out? Here's what I see. In large part, what I see is a vast reduction in rancor, rage, resentment, vengeance, victim, all the things that come with believing that men have the power and women are the victims. I believe that this male power, female victimization paradigm is really just half of gender reality being presented as if it were gender reality in its entirety. And that lie built into that paradigm is what causes that paradigm to be so destructive. What if instead we got into what I believe is a much deeper truth, the one gender truth to be raised above all others, the one gender truth that is deepest in both quantity and quality of truth, that it all balances out. The benefits enjoyed and the liabilities suffered and the power and the victimization, the freedoms, the constraints, it all balances out between men and women, and it always has. What if we believe that? Well, first off, if the two sexes can make an equal claim to being victims, then clearly neither sex can make any claim at all to being the victim. So if neither sex is the victim, then neither sex need get enraged for being the victim. Moreover, in coming to understand that it all balances out, we come to understand how men and women are really their own worst enemies, really primarily responsible for the predicaments they find themselves in. When we come to understand such balanced perspectives, it's a dissolving of rage and resentment. How do I legitimately pour all kinds of rage and resentment on my opposite sex for all the various powers and privileges and exemptions that it enjoys when I've come to understand that my own sex enjoys powers, privileges, and exemptions in equal measure? How do I lay the blame for the victimization that my sex goes through when I come to understand that man is his own worst enemy and is mostly responsible for the victimizations that he experiences? So, one of the great benefits of coming to understand that it all balances out is that while there remains much to be passionate about, there's really nothing to sort of foam at the mouth about. There's really no basis for this sort of global resentment and rage and victim and vengeance motives. Again, what is the sense of seeking vengeance upon my opposite sex for what it has done to me when I come to understand that what my sex has done to my opposite sex is just as bad? See? Now, I'm looking here only at the negative side, and there's reasons for that I can go into in a moment, but right now I just want to make sure that I add to this that it all balances out is not just an equal amount of victim and pain. It is also an equal amount of joy and gifts and all the good stuff that come with being male, all the good stuff that comes with being female.